Today we're interviewing Paula Kemp, one of the co-founders of Veteran Sisters, a very unique nonprofit organization serving American women who have served in the military. Paula, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Paula, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what was your role as a veteran?
Well, I served in the United States Navy. I was a combat photographer, and I started prior to 9/11, so I went in as a reservist, and then once 9/11 happened, I was gone quite a bit, volunteered for anything and everything that I could. My children were young, but they were in school, so it kind of freed me up to be able to go in and serve my country finally, to meet the needs the challenges I wanted and needed at that time.
That's not a typical path for a young woman, especially with children,
Yeah.
to one, join the service and then serve the country. I as a veteran, I admire that. But what was the motivation for you to join the service?
Well, it's kind of a funny story that my youngest sister, who's 16 years younger than me, she was going, I took her to go and start investigating the different branches because she wanted to go in, and I found out about the reserve program in the Navy, and it was just a 2-week a year, and a weekend a month. And because I had small children, my youngest was just starting kindergarten, and I wanted to do it right out of high school, but life took me in different directions, and so it was perfect. My husband was in a position that I was able to volunteer and do what my dream had been, I didn't know how to operate a camera. I didn't know, it was before digital, but they taught me everything I needed. I had a fabulous unit. I had some great brothers that really took me under their wing in the reserve program and really fostered me into being a great photographer, and I got to travel the world and do a lot of really fun and exciting things. And luckily I wasn't too old. I was 34 when I joined. It was a heck of a ride, a lot of fun, and I got to do that for 8 years.
Well, as a veteran, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Can you tell me how or a little bit about your new organization, which you co-founded, which you're calling Veteran Sisters. Can you tell me a little bit about what Veteran Sisters is and how it evolved?
Sure. Well, when I got back from the Middle East, I had an injury, and I needed to file a claim with the VA. And to make a long story short, when we went to do that, I had no record of service. So it turned into a real battle. I had to prove that I served. They had no DD-214 on me. There was just a lot of stuff that I had, some hoops that I had to jump through. And luckily, I met a gentleman who was a Vietnam veteran. His name is Ronnie Eimel, and he is an advocate. He's helped many of his brothers since the Vietnam era with their claims. So he took on my challenge and fought for years to get my service record to appear, and then also going through the claims process. There were a lot of other injuries that I didn't even know were related or that could be service connected, and so he helped me get my service connection. And through that process, it was very lonely. Being a female in the military is very lonely, and especially in the position that I was in. Being a combat photographer is a little bit different. You kind of dropped in and pulled out into different situations, and you're not really a permanent member of a ship or a unit. You have your own unit, and you kind of get dispatched with other units. So a lot of the times it was just me, the only female. And but the VA claims process was brutal. You really are having to fight for any kind of disability or service connection. While I was serving, I never told anybody, but I had been raped on one of the events that I was covering, and I never told anybody. And going through the process, when I came back from the Middle East, I just thought I had PTSD from that. I saw some things and had to go through some things there. And I just thought it was silly stuff. I just felt like, just suck it up, get over it. You've got a foot injury, that's real. You've got some knee and back issues and camera equipment and things like that. That's legitimate, but the mental side of it, I really just wouldn't connect to. So my advocate, Ronnie, started talking to me about the anger issues that I was having, and really just started working on pulling me out of the dark hole that I was in, because he was very familiar with it, having been a
Right.
Vietnam veteran himself, Special Forces, and with all of his brothers that he had been helping. So we started diving into that, and he got me connected to get the mental help that I needed, and started sharing more with the MST and finding out what that was, and then really putting together the title, of PTSD with MST as well. So
Now that's something not just occurred to you, but many women that have served this country are dealing with that same problem.
yes,
And it's my understanding that's why you and another woman started Veteran Sisters, was because of those issues that you face that men don't necessarily face. Not some men did, but mostly affecting women, military trauma related to rape. Can you tell me how and what are the crises women veterans are facing today, and how is Veteran Sisters helping them?
well, so as you know, the VA system is already a challenge for all veterans. And there is MST, of course, within the male population as well, and always has been. It's just something that's been kind of pushed under the carpet.
We don't talk about it.
Right. So women don't either, but they're starting to, and I think the whole Me Too movement really empowered a lot of us to step forward and speak louder. So that's kind of what Veteran Sisters came together for me, was when Ronnie was working with all of the people that were coming to him for service connection and filings and things like that. He was starting to have more and more females come to him and be referred to him. And he noticed that the women weren't as comfortable talking to him because he was a male.
Right. I can
So,
understand that.
yeah, so it started this awareness. I didn't have a problem with him. I never felt that from him. I had trust from him that he was a good friend of somebody I knew.
Right.
So I started seeing that, and he asked me if I would kind of be the go-between or come and sit with them while he interviewed them and help them with their paperwork. So I started doing that. In the meantime, I was working on myself, and my therapies and getting better and starting to come out of my darkness and off my couch. And he kind of like, by getting me to come out of my house and help him, gave me a purpose again. It gave me something to be contributing to. So with that, we kind of launched Veteran Sisters from that. So I started talking to more and more females, empowering them to file their claims, and therein launched Veteran Sisters. The whole thing with what makes our program different than any other female nonprofit for veterans is that when I was going through it, my advocate was there with me. He showed up and went to my appointments with me, sat in the waiting room. He went with me when I had to go to my BVA hearings to get my claims, went with me when I had to go sit in and speak with a congressperson because we had to find my DD 214. He was my battle buddy.
That's a scary process in itself.
Right.
And I'm not saying that women aren't as tough as men.
Right.
But dealing with PSD and dealing with sexual trauma, there's a lot of issues that you're dealing with. So it's still a scary situation.
Absolutely. And he does this for his males as well. His brother veterans, this is how he has always done it. He has always showed up for them, because when you go to the comp and pen appointments especially, they start interviewing you and diving, especially on the PTSD side of it, they're diving into sensitive issues. And people are getting triggered and not remembering to answer the question, or they can't remember stuff because you get into that moment,
Yes.
So you need to have an advocate there to help you. And he would always encourage them, if they weren't comfortable taking him, at least take your spouse, take your brother, your sister, somebody, a friend. Take somebody. Don't go through it alone. So that really resonated with me, because the one time that I didn't take him with me, I ended up having a doctor sexually assault me at my comp and pen. And that was what, was right after I was starting to bring and sit in with these other women and encourage women to file their claims. So when that happened, it knocked me down. And I thought, how can I possibly encourage women to come and file for their claims for their benefits, of which they've already earned from their military service, but now I'm going to ask them to step into a system that's going to abuse them again?
Now that's an issue. The VA is trying to do a job,
Right.
but unfortunately, it's still a male-dominated department.
Correct.
Male doctors, male orderlies, male administrators.
Right.
There are some female, but the big part is males. So I can understand why a woman, especially a female veteran, would be intimidated or terrified of going into that situation, because there are already a great deal of mistrust towards men,
Correct.
especially in the military.
Right.
So veteran systems, as a veteran sister, you then now help women go through that process,
Right.
kind of, in a sense, be their battle buddy.
Right. So in the military, we're all pretty much used to that. I know in the Navy, when you went through battle stations and boot camp and all of that, right, you had your battle buddy. So that's kind of where I came up with that idea of, leave no man behind, kind of the same concept. And then on the civilian side, when I explain it to people, it's that we are their service dog, right? So a lot of people understand a service dog, there's comfort dogs, there's protection, there's helping them get from one point to another, just helping them live a better life, right? So that's kind of what we do. We are their sister. And we have brothers that we help too. It's not just only females. We help our brothers as well. So we are their sister. We're their big sister. We take them and go with them, whatever it is that they need assistance with, as far as the claims process goes, or connecting them to their resources and benefits that they've already earned. So we're not just a resource center that refers them out and says, okay, here's, the 1-800 hotline for this, and here's this, and here's that. Yeah, fill out this form and that form. It's, hey, let's sit down, or we talk to them on the phone, we Skype, we do whatever is needed so that they don't feel like they're having to file it alone. We help them file it. We don't do it for them, but we help them gather their evidence. We encourage them, we motivate them, we share with them how we did it. So all of us at Veteran Sisters are veteran females that have been through the process.
Now, it's my understanding Veteran Sisters is really a volunteer organization.
Yes.
Currently, and so these are women that have gone through the VA process, kind of figured it out, but they're helping their other veteran sisters. And I'd like our audience to think about how difficult government forms are to fill out. Imagine VA forms. They're much worse.
Right.
So I can understand how that helps women. And I assume it helps women like yourself. Helping another woman helps you in your own therapy.
It does. It really does. And we hear that more and more. The more women that we have helped, the more that they re-engage, into society and life, and it just kind of like gives them that wind beneath their wings again, and they come forward and they want to help too. So it's been very beneficial, and for myself as well, getting out there, and that's the payday, is when you see that you've really helped somebody. And it's not just the VA claims process either, though. It's helping connect them. They want to go back to school. All right, let's investigate. What are your choices? Let's go sit down. Let's go see the school. They're afraid to leave and do it. They just don't want to do it alone.
From what I understand, you've already engaged over 1,000 female veterans and growing. And one of the issues that a lot of people aren't aware of is that female veterans are one of the largest group of veterans that are homeless.
Yeah.
Because of their sexual trauma or military trauma that they suffered while serving. Can you speak a little bit about the issue that most Americans don't know what's out there?
Well, it's kind of like we talked about, the VA system. It's a great program. I think that it wasn't always, but I feel and I see, at least here locally, that they really are working very hard at making it better. And they are trying to reach out to the female veterans. And that's wonderful, and we need it nationally. However, it is still a very male-dominated program. You know, all the services are ran.
Right.
So women are not, especially the women that are suffering in their PTSD due to MST, that is not an environment that they want to enter. So this is where, once again, we go with them, and safety in numbers, safety in having somebody that understands the system, is a veteran, because then you understand that system as well. And we've just found that that is what really resonates and empowers them to reach out and get the connection that they need. So unfortunately, because this isn't happening worldwide or nationwide, the women really aren't they're not connecting to those services because of the male domination and the intimidation and just that whole part of it.
It's my understanding that your organization, to help it grow and to start be able to provide facilities, you've started a kind of a GoFundMe account that you're just starting to launch, and you're looking for donations and you're looking for support. Can you tell me a little bit about what your hopes and dreams are in creating these centers for women?
Sure. So what it would look like is, you know, a building that is like we would turn the interior to be like my living room, you know, my kitchen. It's all one big room, very comfortable with recliners, things like that. Come in and have a cup of coffee. Let's talk, let's engage, and let's have a sisterhood. And it's an environment that is female oriented, you know, it would be, and veteran, you know, of course, female veterans. And they would just have camaraderie, you know, and it's a safe place for them to come, and we would bring the services there. So it's not going to be a homeless shelter or a resource center, but it's a place to come home to. Come in and enjoy, like, you know,
share your experiences.
Absolutely, you know, and talk story.
Yep.
You know, sit down and share your stories and have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine. You know, it's not that it's going to be like, I love the American Legion, I love the VFW. It's a lot of fun.
Great organizations, but again,
absolutely,
male dominated.
Absolutely, but very male dominated. And you know, the female population within those are growing. But this is more for the female that is still struggling with her injuries. And it just needs to be a safe place that they can come to get that connection. You know, a lot of people say, well, there's, you know, the county has a veteran representation or a VSO officer. You go here, you go there to talk to these people. And you can find females that are those providers.
Right.
However, they're still having to step into a very cold building, a cold environment, males. It's just not that. It needs to be like a safe house.
And even to that point, in my research, I've ran into different female veterans that their attitude is women just need to suck it up, and if they've been raped, that's their problem, which is hard for me, even as a man, to comprehend that thought. So what you're trying to do, from my understanding, with Veteran Sisters and with these different centers that you would hope to create here and across the country, is just to give that female the chance to get restarted, to have confident that she can share with other women her experiences, and then to be able to have resources within those centers to help them through the VA process. That's your ultimate goal, correct? Yes,
absolutely. And it saddens me that we have, you know, some people that are out there that, you know, and that's great for them that they're that strong and you know, they embrace that kind of a challenge upon themselves, but not everybody's like that. And, you know, this Veteran Sisters, we do it all. So we absolutely have very strong females. I'm a pretty strong female. We have many that are very strong and have pulled themselves up by their bootstraps and charged on. But I also have moments where it's challenging and it is hard. And there are times where I don't want to leave my house and I want to stay on the couch. And the Veteran Sisters, the organization, because I now have a mission, has really motivated me to help other sisters. Therefore, I can't stay on the couch anymore. And by coming together and hearing each other's story and empowering each other, locking arms, wiping tears, and coming together as a group and moving forward is really what Veteran Sisters is all about. And we've already seen it change lives, So we hope that by reaching out and helping those so that they're not alone going through the process and they don't have to suck it up, and when they can't, they feel like killing themselves because there's such a disappointment to themselves and others,
Right.
and that whole darkness that goes on. We hope that they will see that, hey, you're just like me. I'm just like you. I've been there, and we can get through this together.
Now, if I'm a female veteran somewhere in the United States, how do they reach out to you? How can they contact Veteran Sisters and get the assistance they need? I know you're here in California and you're growing, but how can they reach out and ask for help, or how can they reach out and say, I want to give help, whether it's financially or just want to support? And I'm not just saying female veterans.
Right.
Females across the country who love this country and support our country should be supporting our female veterans. And I apologize. It should be all Americans, not just female Americans. We all need to support our female veterans as well as our veterans. So if a female veteran needs assistance, how do they find it?
Well, thank you for that, because one of the biggest problems that we face is that female veterans don't even self-identify as being a veteran. So thank you for bringing that out. And, Americans need to rethink veteran.
So basically, we need as Americans, when we look at a couple, not to think the man is a veteran. We need to sit there and say, the wife or the spouse or the female next to the man, she may have been the veteran.
Correct.
Not the man. So we really need to rethink the word veteran, that
Correct.
it's not, males are not the only veterans that have served in this country.
That's correct. And the female population within the military is growing. It's the fastest growing in the military right now, along with the homelessness and suicide rate, which is concerning. Yes, and we absolutely need to rethink veteran and see me when you think veteran.
Paula, can you tell me how does a female veteran reach out to your organization? How do they contact you if they need your services or like to support your organization?
We have a wonderful website, and it's veteransisters.org, and we have a contact us entry on the website where they can put in their name and information, and we will get back with them. And then also, if you want to make a donation, that's the perfect place to go to, and it will definitely help support all the programs that we're working on that helps our female veterans.
Great. Thank you, Paula, for your time.
Thank you.
I ask all Americans to consider how women have served this country and are serving our country. And it's time that we step up and supported organizations like Veteran Sisters in any way we can. Thank you for watching.